Consider this, a news and information program recorded on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. From the Fireside Lounge in the Milo Bales Student Center, here is your host, Carol Schrader.
Hello and welcome back to the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Now I say that with a little emphasis because our show this week has a lot to do with Omaha and its success in a couple of venues that are very important to all Nebraskans and certainly to the Omaha metro area. My guest this week is Sonny Mayers, Charles Sonny Mayers. Everybody just calls him Sonny.
That's right.
And he's been here almost 2 years now as head of the Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Good memory.
There's a lot of things that happened since you came. You were poised, you were brought in, things were happening, you were going to do stuff, and we were going to change this and do this and build this, and now it's almost done, a lot of that.
Well, we're well on our way. You know, it's been built, and
it being
they are coming. The hotel, the convention center,
the hotel,
Performing Arts Center under construction. Just a lot of good things that have been happening in the last 2 years. The entrance from the airport into the city is stunning.
Is spectacular.
It is
at night.
spectacular.
I've lived here all my life. I was blown away the first time I came back from the airport in the evening last fall, and it really kind of blew me away.
You can almost think you're in a different city, can't you?
Well, it's beautiful, not like loud and screaming. It's beautiful and yet it has a very very urban.
Exactly.
feel.
But, you know, people are coming, so, you know, the old saying, build it and they will come, isn't quite, you know, as true as it may sound, because it has to be promoted. And that's what my team and the Mecca team and the hotel community is all about, is really trying to bring people to town. And that's what we have to do. We've learned in the 2 years that so many things have happened so fast, and it is so stunning in this community, that you just can't buy an ad and have people understand it. You really have to bring them here so that they can see firsthand. So we say, give us 24 hours and we'll convince you that this is a city that you have to be in.
Well, you know, I read it on your new website, portions of stories I had read before. One from Kansas City newspaper, one from a Chicago newspaper, where people had come back here, the writers, columnists, to see Omaha. One was born here, so he just happened back with family, and they were literally mesmerized by the changes here.
In
Kansas City, where my brother lives, says we've been trying to do our riverfront for years and years and years, and he says, and we just haven't got it right. Now, we had a lot of things happen at one time. In other words, to be able to clear a lot of area at one time, which is kind of unusual sometimes. But we've
very fortunate. There's no doubt about it. I think that Union Pacific, having land that they were willing to sell for this development, it's something that, you know, you look for, obviously, any city where you're doing development, but to have a corporate citizen like that and have that facility, that land, and have them be able to sell it and to build what the city has built. You know, and I know that there's been some talk about the fact that maybe taxes might have to go up in a few years, but I really see the economic turnaround, and I think that some of the projections that the consultants made maybe will happen a little bit slower, because I think they were very aggressive in saying it was going to happen immediately, and things just don't happen immediately. But I really feel that over the next year, we're going to see a lot of things materializing that people really expected to have. I know my staff is out, you know, selling conventions and meetings, and we're getting great responses. So we have a lot in the pipeline, as you might say. So there's going to be some good announcements coming down the line.
Well, they always look at you, and I remember when they announced the first convention that was booked in the Quest Center, and on and on. But how are we looking right now? Are we going to keep that place full with people that are going to spend money from out of town here?
Well, in the last 18 months, we've booked 29 conventions that are what we call citywide. There are 3 or more hotels. Most every one of them, I think with the exception of a couple, are using the Quest Center. One will be using the new Performing Arts Center, so, you know, that's wonderful. And again, like I say, we've got a lot of business in the pipeline that is very close to making a decision. I think we look very good. And as we, again, bring people to town, and I'm all about buying meeting planners, airline tickets, rather than buying an ad in the publication. We just have people that say they are absolutely amazed. They had absolutely no idea what we have to offer here. They had no concept of what they were going to see until they get here. And they go back very enthusiastically recommending that Omaha be a site that they want to bring a convention.
I think you find that you turn those people into sales people themselves when they go back and make a case. And what they're, if they go to other cities or they know well of other cities, if they touch us last or close to the last, I think it's almost, unless they're looking for something in a really big city or something, that they will be the salespeople.
Well, we're also pretty careful about who we solicit because we have a lot of information, on what associations are doing, where they've been, what they do, what their type of city that they're looking for. And so we don't really set ourselves up for failure, if you want to kind of look at it that way. We go after those organizations that we really feel is a good fit. And there's literally thousands of them out there. It's just a matter of getting to them. One of the strategies that has been paying off so well is the initiative that we call Hometown Hero.
Absolutely.
And,
explain that.
Well, that's finding a resident in the community or in the area that belongs to an organization that has some influence that can help us open the door to the association, help us get our foot in the door, help us with that invitation because they're a member. And
they're on the board or they're on an executive committee.
Exactly, or they're on a standing committee, have some influence with the association and can really kind of act as a local host when we bring the meeting planner to town. And I'd say that probably more than half of the meetings that we've booked are a direct result of that Hometown Hero. And so we're broadening that campaign to get that word out, to do the outreach. And actually we can say that they're Heartland heroes because we have people in Lincoln who belong to associations. We have people in Grand Island who belong to associations that want to see their association bring their meeting to Nebraska and Omaha because we're the site that has the facilities to accommodate those meetings.
A lot of times, I'm sure that in the convention biz, there's some way you all find out mystically about what are the standard every year conventions, the biennial conventions, there's probably a list, but you can't go scattershot for everybody.
Right, no. We have very good records we tap into. All of this is computerized on the internet.
Huge databases.
Huge database, and we can drill down. We can say we have 194,000 square feet, so we don't want organizations that have 300,000 square feet. So we drill down and we come up with a list of suspects. Then we really look at the history of those organizations, what their rotation is, because it may be that they have a rotation where 5 years from now they would come back to this part of the country, but not for 5 years. And so we want to talk right now to those that could come back in 2 or 3 years. Most organizations are 3 to 5 years out in their decision process, so we have to consider that. So, it's
you must have a very complicated list and mapping system out of keeping track of these people.
It's scientific. It's like any business today. It's very aggressive competition. It's very aggressive selling. You definitely have to be high tech in your approach to get your information and keep up with it. And so we employ all those tools in order to do our marketing.
You have a staff of?
Yeah, a staff of 15. We're doubling our sales staff as we speak right now. We have a new director of sales that started about 6 weeks ago. We have 2 new national sales managers that start May the 10th. I'm not sure exactly when this show is going to air, so
pretty darn soon.
Pretty soon. So we're doubling our sales staff as we speak, and because we need to put more people on the phone, we need to put more people in the trade shows, and we need to be doing more prospecting in order to keep up with the challenge that we have. And our team is so enthusiastic because the product is so wonderful.
I kind of agree with that. I remember when they were putting together funding mechanisms in this state through the legislature that would allow us to do some of the things we did financially in order to put this whole Arena Convention Center and riverfront redevelopment into play. And there's a feeling sometimes in greater Nebraska, as I don't blame them for, Omaha gets this, or this is geared to Omaha or whatever, because their economic development they're having their own challenges in greater Nebraska. What would you say to folks that watch this statewide that what's good that you're
Okay.
doing is good for them,
Well, I have to talk about tourism because that's what I know about.
and which is one of the leading industries in the state.
Absolutely. Number one, the Hotel Association here in Omaha backed the ability for the other cities in the state to implement an additional room tax so that they could collect more money to build their infrastructure, promote their tourism, because we're the kind of the Class A city that had that right, and we were able to pass on that right through the legislature so that they could promote and help take care of their cities.
And we have all these I-80 places and all that. It's
Sure.
only fair.
Well, tourism is very important to all of the cities, and especially the small cities that might be losing economic impact through farming or whatever, and they've got to replace that. But 53% of all the hospitality tax money is collected in Omaha, and a lot of that doesn't stay here. A lot of that goes outstate into the legislature. It goes into the Division of Tourism, which is very helpful with those other communities. So we're a generator. We're a big generator for the rest of the state in the large picture, and it makes a whole lot of sense for Omaha to stay healthy, for everybody to support what we have here and not look at it jealously. Because
And Lincoln too. I mean, they're kind of the next tier in terms of size.
and we cooperate with Lincoln. We look at Lincoln and Omaha as kind of a megaplex, and certainly Lincoln is also a generator because they're the next largest city. So tourism is healthy. It makes good sense to keep Omaha and Lincoln healthy. A lot of the tax dollars get spread throughout the state, and we're very interested in that. We've even tried to implement a plan this year in the legislature that would bring more money into the state tourism coffer so that the state would have more grant dollars to give some of these smaller cities. That failed. We'll continue. I think we made a lot of stride, a lot of education in the legislature on that score. And we'll be back next year to do some more education. And so we're working to help the state. We're working to help ourselves.
The interesting thing is, and you've heard it a lot with the tax woes of our state and every state, just about
Sure.
recently, is that, our property taxes are so high, and why can't we, well, the breadth of our tax base is more limited here, and tourism is probably one of those items on the tax base that is most likely to be increased. You might have one industry other than agriculture, like ConAgra, food industries and all those. But tourism is one of those that if you can expand it, then it does take the load.
Well, and this was what we were trying to say to the legislature this year. We were trying to implement what's called a Missouri plan. And that plan very simply says establish a baseline at a 3% growth rate. And then anything over the 3% growth rate, give us half of those tax dollars. Actually give those tax dollars to the state tourism department and let the state tourism department reinvest. So we weren't trying to take anything away. We were saying we're promoting the growth rate. And if the growth rate goes to this level, let us have half of everything above it.
So you want to create a reinvestment mechanism, sort of a
Exactly.
guarantee to protect that, because sometimes there's all kinds of moving around of priorities that would help both Omaha and greater Nebraska. But keep that there and keep it in the pipeline.
Well, as an example, when the as the sales tax starts to recover, the room tax has been growing. January, February, March of this year, 7%, 6%, 8% increases over last year in terms of room tax collection just right here in Douglas County. So it shows that the hospitality industry is standing up very well. Throughout the country, when some cities, and I can recall New Orleans saying that it lost almost 70% of its tourism after 9/11, we were staying flat. And
Flat was good.
And flat was great. Flat was great when you talk about 70% drop.
Florida, California,
Absolutely.
terrible. In fact,
Yeah.
they're just starting to report now. I think California's first and Florida's second in terms of recouping some of those major losses. I think 9/11 is a benchmark for so many things in this country.
It's changed
but
a lot of things.
It has changed.
Yeah.
There are fewer business travelers. How are we affected by that?
Well, I think one of the reasons that it probably stayed flat was the fact that, you know, we're located in the central part of the United States. That was perceived as safe, and people were doing traveling more in the central part of the United States rather than to East Coast or West Coast, where they had the perception that maybe they weren't safe. And so the central part of the United States, Nebraska being located there, was the beneficiary of more close to home travel, more frequent travel, and so the dollars were being spent here rather than going to East Coast or West Coast. And that trend is really still occurring. You've got really a lot of different reasons. Safety may not be the prime reason today. Gasoline prices are the prime reason today.
That's on my list here, gas prices.
And, again, we're in a favorable location. Our marketing does not go outside of about 450-mile radius of Omaha, because our research says people are not going to take long trips. We can't bring people from Denver to Omaha. That's a little too far. So, but we can do Kansas City. We can go into Minneapolis. But 450 miles is our target radius in terms of trying to educate.
And that's still financially doable from a gasoline point of view. Knock on all kinds of wood.
Right. Yeah, people want to travel. They will travel. They just have to modify their travel to fit their budget. Sometimes
they're spending fewer days, too. Is a national trend. Is that affected here as much?
No, not really. I think because we're still a good buy, that it's not hurting the pocketbook maybe as much as the large cities. They're predicting that the top of the line properties and resorts will be the ones that will increase prices the most. And we're still in that medium to upper level price range of good accommodations, but we're not growing as rapidly as some of the really high-end accommodations, resorts, and so we're still going to be a good buy.
The new Hilton Hotel, the one, the cornerstone of the Arena Convention Center.
Yes.
I mean, from the beginning, it was going to be a hotel attached to it, the convention sort of hotel. It is lovely what I've seen through the windows of it. It got pretty good reviews in the Omaha World Herald when they sent people to stay there and really scouted it out in the way you should scout out a new hotel. Is it what you had expected?
I think it's probably more than anybody ever expected. It's a beautiful property. It's got about 2,000 pieces of regional art, local and regional art, which makes it a very classy facility. The rooms are extremely well appointed, and just all the amenities from the time you sit down in the Liberty Tavern, which is a restaurant, makes you feel like you're really having an experience. The service right from the first day was excellent, and will always get better as people get trained. And it complements other fine facilities in the downtown. And I say other fine facilities, not tongue-in-cheek, because we really do have nice hotels and we have great management. And that's another thing that meeting planners have noticed when they come here, that Omaha has it axed together.
One of the groups of people that comes, we have guest artists for the opera. We have people that come in for the traveling Broadway shows. And they always, and they're, I guess they're perceived because they're artistes of being maybe even a little flaky or having particular whims, or just as from a stereotypical point of view. I have heard nothing but raves from the people I know that come in, and I know kind of connected into that group, about maybe their expectations were not that high for Omaha, but they are just pleased as punch. So it's not just the business and the tourist. The people that come in and have to stay for a while.
Oh, I think people's expectations who travel really do have high expectations, because
maybe they don't have Omaha is what I'm saying. They'd like to have high expectations.
Well,
maybe we're living beyond our expectations.
We're oh so surprising. I want to tell you that. That's
the new logo?
We're just a very surprising city, and that's what that logo signifies. People are pleasantly surprised. They're blown away. They had no concept of what Omaha is today, and that's a great selling point for all of us. When we get people here, they go away singing the praises and telling other people, gosh, I didn't realize it. You have to see it. You won't believe what Omaha has done.
I remember when you first came here on the show, we were talking about getting rid of Omaha Rare Well Done. That people, in Omaha weren't that crazy about. And from a marketing point of view, it was a little hard to. And you can't get a grasp on any city with these silly slogans and whatever. I'm sorry. I've seen slogans for every city on the internet when I plan vacations, and okay, they're nice. They're not bad, but I think the O just is so catchy from an attention point of view. And then you do the follow-up, oh so surprising, and then you start to look. But I mean, it's very unique. There aren't many logo/sayings. It kind of is everything in one.
Well, you realize that, and I'm sure you know that this was combination. This came really out of a chamber communications department that the Convention and Visitors Bureau participated with, and the committee really threw away a lot of slogans because they just didn't click. And when this was introduced to the committee, we all kind of looked at it and said, that kind of sticks against the wall. That's pretty good.
You threw it up and it stuck a little.
And we recognized that it was not a slogan, nothing to shoot down, and you can really work this pretty well. It's kind of an umbrella.
It's kind of an icon that has a meaning to it.
It does.
You write the slogan in your own head.
Right.
Which makes it kind of unusual. Okay, so you've been here 2 years. What is the thing that Sonny Mayer says, if I had $1 bazillion in my budget, I would do?
Well, number one, $1 bazillion would be great.
Yeah, you'd flood the market with advertising. But no, I mean, if you had another chunk of change that was a reasonable amount, what's on your wish list that you just can't see doing right away that you'd like to do?
Well, we're trying to replace the information booths at the airport. We're really very serious about our image, and there's a lot of things that need to be polished in order to make sure that your front door is the best that it can be. We moved our offices downtown to 10th and Farnham. We built a very nice visitor information center people can walk into and get information. We've got great volunteers at the airport that are very dedicated. They're operating out of, 15, 20-year-old information booth that needs a...
Yeah, it does need sprucing up.
Needs sprucing up.
You kind of don't even notice it there.
You don't notice it. And it needs to be noticed, needs to be nice. So we're working that right now. We're working our website, which isn't quite ready yet.
But
technically,
it is looking good.
It's looking good.
And we're running the web address in the bottom of the screen here during this show, so
that's wonderful.
They can check it out.
Certainly dollars and cents. We've got a very small budget compared to our competition that we go up against all the time. So we've got to figure a way to grow that. But in order to do that, we've got to really talk about our ROI, our return on our investment, so that people really understand that in 2 years, we've generated $96 million worth of business, and we've only spent about $3.5 million doing that. So that's a tremendous return on investment. And if we had more dollars to do more marketing, then we would generate more business. We've got the tools, the convention center, the hotels, the attractions. The city is very enthusiastic about itself, which is extremely positive. And
we've come a long way in that category.
We have, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm a newcomer, so when I say we, I know I'm speaking of a small time frame. We've got a very dedicated board that are trying to help us with that image, and so it's polishing a little bit more on the gem that we do have.
Has the Gallup campus had an effect on people coming in and seeing Omaha and then going out and spreading the word, since they have so many people from?
I know that it will. We've had conversations. I've had an opportunity to visit with their management. We'll be furnishing information that they can pass on to people when they come in, so that they really have a first-hand invitation to look at Omaha as a convention and meeting destination. We also want to help them be good visitors by giving them information. They're going to have a tremendous impact on the total of room nights that they're bringing to the city. And we know, since they're bringing in upper-level management people, that there's decision makers both for economic development for the chamber, as well as conventions and meeting economic development for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we're very fortunate to have Gallup University here, and to have, could be 3,000 to 4,000 people this year going through that university.
That's a good number.
Yeah. Our Fortune 500 companies, when we highlight the fact that we've got 5 Fortune 500 companies in Omaha, people look at us like, you do? That starts good conversation. So,
And that's prominent on your new website. There's a tab. It says Fortune 500 companies. And just that, I'm sure, to people go,
population-wise, we're probably one of the few cities of our population size that have any Fortune 500 companies, let alone 5. And that really says a lot about our economy. It says a lot about the strategic growth abilities of this community, and certainly about the caliber of business in this community.
I imagine that we're not near our capacity yet, and that's what you're trying to gear us to. But we made such a jump with the convention center. Are we going to have capacity hotels and something if you really do your job well and your people just become the most phenomenal salespeople in the world? I mean, it seems like we have so much empty space now. But
well, we're just a little above 60% occupancy. If we rank ourselves against about 25 competitive cities in the area, we're probably a little above the middle of the pack, so we stand pretty good with that. If we go to 65 to 70% occupancy, that's good enough for other hotel companies to say we ought to be there and we can build some more rooms. Right now we're adding 108,000 room nights with the Hilton to our inventory. So
that's a yearly thing.
That's a yearly
That's
thing.
how you guys talk.
So we have to be really concerned about helping the Hilton reach its goals so that all the other hotels don't lose out, because you can get shifting of business. We want new business. We don't want business to shift. We want new business in the community.
In addition to the business that our
That's
merchants and hoteliers and everyone
Exactly.
enjoy already.
Exactly. So our focus right now is new business, citywide business, the Quest Center, and then there's a term in the industry called compression, and all the hotels in the city understand if they can get compression, which means business downtown will displace other business out to the suburbs or out to the west part. That's very healthy for those hotels, and it means that new business is being brought to town, which is a growth trend. You'll never probably go above 70-75% occupancy, because somebody will always come in and fill a void and create some more void.
Well, we have filled the time void
Okay.
right now.
All
Sonny,
right.
I appreciate you being here. Sonny Mayers,
Thank you,
Executive
Carol.
Director of the Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. Check out the website and check out our website. Refer this show to friends that might be having a convention here in the next few years. Thank you. See you next week.
To view this edition of Consider This or past programs, visit our website at unotv.unomaha.edu. For comments or questions, call 402-554-2516 during regular business hours. Consider This is a production of UNO Television.